What about the Zusa archive, Frank?
Rabbi Dr. Bernard Susser was a good friend of mine. I met him, oh gosh, I don't remember how many years ago. He was the rabbi in Plymouth, and then in his retirement, he started coming down to Exeter to do some more research on Jews in the southwest of England in the 18th and 19th centuries. And I arranged for him to stay at the synagogue and have accommodation in the flat there. And he taught the children, and we met and had conversations. I remember it helped his son. His son lived there for a while too, and we formed a good relationship. And I was aware of his research, his PhD he'd done at Exeter University in the past, which I'd read actually by borrowing a copy from the university library. And then one day I got a phone call. He'd gone back to London, and my friend rang me, Helen Fry, and said, Rabbi Susser died this morning. And I've had a phone call from the caretaker from the flats where he lived with his wife, that his wife had all his papers put in bin bags and put out to be thrown away. To be fair on her, she'd argued, not being a scholar herself, he'd done his research, he'd written a book, this paper was just junk now, not needed anymore. Of course, it wasn't quite true. This was the base material. So I went straight up to London, drove up, and I was allowed one morning to photocopy material. So I went and spent a huge amount of money in a post office in London, photocopying thousands and thousands of sheets of paper and documents, which went to the record office in the end. And then they were, yes, it was, I'll miss out a bit of the story about a certain person who tried to purloin the whole collection. But in the end, what happened was I was made Rabbi Susser's literary executor. And I was given a large number of old-fashioned, I think they're 5¼ inch floppy disks, and it was my job to try and extract all that information. So the paperwork, which I did get in the end, went to the West Devon Record Office, and I managed to buy a very old computer. I think it was DOS 3 or something like that, and I'm not a PC person, I'm an Apple bot, but I managed to learn how to use the computer, and I was able to connect this very old computer to my system and extract the information from a large number of floppy disks, edit them, clean them up, take out all the weird bits, and I put the whole lot on the internet. In fact, it's still available as a source for scholars, and I called it the Susser Archive. I even published some of the books he'd written which were never published, like Circumcision Registers. I've got some of them down here actually. So his work was made available, not just through his PhD, which was published, but also the Susser Archive. Lots of source material about the 18th and 19th centuries, not just in the southwest of England, but also in the whole of England. He was very good at transcribing old Hebrew and Yiddish records, and translating them. Not many people can do that. So making that available was an invaluable resource for other historians.